Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Neptune's Child Tarot. Thank you all so much for being here and for your continued love and support here on the channel. So today's pick a card reading, we are doing your future self has a message for you, and we're going to be seeing what that message is. So we do have 3 crystals out here for you all to choose from today. For group number 1, we have this cream crystal. For group 2, we have pyrite. And then for group number 3, we do have a snowflake obsidian. We are going to be adding in one of these cards to help you with choosing, but I did want to say a huge thank you to Michael for sending in this very sweet deck. It's called the Dark Whimsical Tarot deck, which we are going to be using today. And Michael sent in this deck as well as another one called the Midnight Magic Tarot. But we are going to be using this one today. So Michael, thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity. If you do want to send in a tarot and oracle deck, I do have my Amazon wish list in the description box for those of you that are feeling guided to send in a deck for me to use for our future readings. I use the decks that are donated on this channel as well as my other tarot channel, Moon Moth Goddess. For those of you that are not aware, I do have 2 channels. I am also available for private readings. You can find my email in the description box. Just send me an email and I will provide you with more information on booking readings as well as other services. So group number 1, and these cards, some of them are not YouTube appropriate. So I'm going to take a look at them to make sure that I can show whatever comes out. I might have to cover up the imagery a little bit. So group number 1, your future self has a message for you. What is the message, group number 1, that your future self does have for you? Okay, so group 1. Group number 2 with the pyrite. Your future self has a message for you. What is that message from your future self? That is for group 2. Group 3 with the snowflake obsidian. All right. So let's see, I'm going to take a quick look. I think this should be okay. We'll see. Okay, so group number 1, we have card number 18, Tantra of 639 hertz, and you have the cream crystal. So a message from your future self. We're going to be finding out what that message is. Group number 2, you're okay. Okay, so we have card number 8, Bath Cole. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And yours is with the pyrite. Group number 3, we're good here. 21, Seraph of 963 hertz. And that is with the snowflake obsidian. All right, so those are the choices for today. Your message has your future self has a message for you. We're going to be finding out what that message is. Okay, so group number 1, we have Tantra with the cream crystal. Group number 2, we have Bath Coal with the pyrite. And then group number 3, we have Seraph of 963 hertz, and that is with the Snowflake Obsidian. Timestamps will be down below for you all, and I will see you at your reading. Hi, group number 1. So those of you that resonated with the Tantra card of 639 hertz, which is a frequency, we are, let's see, where is it at? We are doing or using the White Light Oracle. Really beautiful Oracle deck. So what I want to do, because these, anytime, for those of you that are not familiar, the creator, Alana Fairchild, she has a lot of beautiful decks, and she gives a lot of really beautiful information in her guidebooks about the, the meaning and the depth behind the cards, the artwork. So I am going to read that. I know some of you don't like it, but if, reading from a guidebook is something that doesn't work for you, then just remember you don't have to be here, okay? All right, so we're looking at a message from your future self. What is that message? And so the message here in this, about this card, says, be open to that which seems unfamiliar or different. You will experience a breakthrough as you embrace an unusual approach. You are on a soul path of accelerated spiritual growth, which is swifter but not always easier. You do not have to contrive your own happiness, but you can dip into the bliss within your body to lighten your mental state and remind yourself everything is working out beautifully. It says Tantra is the conscious, creative intermingling of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine energies that dwell within every human heart. When one chooses to honor the interplay of these sacred energies, we become able to engage with the mysteries of our life and respond creatively. Tantra is the refusal to turn away from your life experiences, even the painful ones, because you recognize that with wisdom, spiritual growth can emerge from all things. Tantra is the willingness of your heart to thoroughly embrace that which might be difficult or different to what we expect, and through such open-minded, open-hearted engagement, discover a capacity to love and become wise. Tantra is the sacred relationship of the spirit and the body, which creates the soul with all its precious gifts of healing, creativity, love, and higher consciousness. The frequency of 639 hertz evokes unity. It moves beneath conflict and grounds us in simplicity, connection, and love. When Tantra of 639 hertz is in a reading, soul connections, whether twin flames, soulmates, spirit guides, or soul tribes, are especially significant to our spiritual growth. This frequency enhances the capacity for conscious and healing interaction between those who have been at odds. It is a loving cosmic bliss bomb which breaks the toxic grip of ego and facilitates soulful and karmic healing. If you have been working through relationship issues, this oracle brings good news for healing and resolution. Okay? For those of you that are wanting to continue on reading, I'm not going to read all of it, but you guys can pause and read a little bit of it later. And then this is the other part of it. Okay. All right, so let's pull the tarot. What is the message from your future self? We have the Ace of Cups. The Devil. The Three of Swords. The Two of Wands. The High Priestess. Page of Swords. The Ace of Wands. The Eight of Pentacles. Okay. We have Temperance. And the King of Wands. I love this. Lovers is at the bottom. Union. And we're talking about union here between the masculine and the feminine. Okay. So, message from your future self. Okay. We're talking about this healing, this alignment, this union, and a lot of spiritual growth and ascension that you're going through at this time. It's also talking about the ego, which is right there. Okay. Now, with the Page of Swords being present, Page of Swords is about studying something, researching, gathering information, needing to really kind of pay attention to details, information. And it could be that is being received. You are receiving from your higher self, the High Priestess is here. In a way, I kind of see this as an invitation to, in a way that your higher self is trying to inspire you. The Eight of Pentacles is here, which is about self-mastery. And what are we trying to master? The ways in which the ego can keep us trapped, right? In fears, toxic patterns, attachment, obsession. In this case, we've got the Three of Swords here, which is right next to the Devil. The Three of Swords is pain, heartbreak, emotional turmoil, betrayal, disappointment. And the swords have to do with our mind, right? Because when we go through something painful, our mind, in a way, the devil is our ego. Our ego is 3D consciousness. And sometimes that ego can be unhealthy and it can keep us very trapped in circumstances. The ego is attached sometimes to psychological suffering. And so the unhealthy ego can keep us in a place where we keep remembering over and over again that painful incident that happened to us. Now, of course, we cannot change the past, right? We cannot change what has caused us pain, but we can choose to end our suffering. And so I feel like with the Two of Wands here, the Two of Wands is about making a choice, and it's about choosing a path. And I feel like in a way your future self is trying to guide you of choosing a path of mastery of your energy and of your healing. The Ace of Cups is the first one that we started off with, which is about healing. It's about emotional release. I'm kind of seeing this in a way as a spiritual cleanse, because I feel like your future self is trying to guide you towards alignment and aligning your masculine and your feminine energies. And there could be some things here that are lingering, that are keeping you stuck in, let's just say, a past experience. And so I feel like it's important for you to pay attention to the state of your mind, the state of your heart, because in a way we have a choice, right? We have a choice. We can either choose to keep ourselves in a place of suffering. Like I said, we can't change the past. We can't change what has hurt us or who has hurt us, but we can certainly choose to no longer let that situation be something that has power over us, that has control over us, that keeps us stuck or trapped in a place of bondage to whatever that situation was. It could be, the devil energy can represent another person for you, maybe even multiple people, right? Or it can even be an aspect of the self, especially if you're the type of person who has a tendency to ruminate on certain things. And, I feel like that also has a lot to say about what the state of the mind is. That's also calling our attention inwards, because some people can deal with anxiety and deal with depression and, other kind of symptoms in the way that they're kind of showing through in our body. And I feel like it's a good indicator of what is going on the inside, what is happening within our vessel, what is happening within our mental space, what is happening within our emotional space. And we have Temperance here. And I notice that as she's standing there with her little cup, there's rain that's kind of coming down in the sky. And Temperance is about healing. It's about transmuting energy. It's about alchemizing, right? Alchemizing and transmuting to help to bring about this balance. And that is how, right, we learn to master our spiritual energy. You've got the King of Wands here, which is a master of spiritual energy. Okay. And so I feel like this is the path that your future self is guiding you towards, is mastery of your energy, of your vibration, kind of inspiring you in some way. And it could require us to take a look, right, within the heart, what needs to be released, what needs to be purged, what needs to be cleared. But it's also, again, a choice. Because the devil creates this illusion that we cannot release ourselves from it. The feelings or the emotions or the thoughts kind of manipulate and have power and control over you. And it tells you, you can't let go, you can't move on, you can't detach, you can't do this, you can't do that. And that, in a way, would be giving our power away to a person or to another situation, right? Where the ego kind of, and this I'm speaking more or less of the unhealthy aspect of the ego that kind of overrides your divinity and who you truly are and how powerful you really are, your true authentic self, right? The ego is the mask that the higher self wears to navigate 3D reality. The ego's primary function is survival, right? It receives all of this information that it's experiencing within the 3D. And sometimes, right, there are experiences that we go through that can be traumatic, that can be painful, that can be challenging, that can, and the ego is formed, right, during our very early formative years, during our upbringing. It has been conditioned. It has, listened to societal expectations or shaped by societal expectations, shaped by belief systems that were passed down from generation to generation by tradition, religion, culture, all these different things, your teachers, all these people that have had an impact on you, that have shaped that, right? And our ego can be something that is very healthy, right? Or if we haven't had the best circumstances that we grew up in, sometimes that ego can be trapped in fear, trapped in doubt, stuck in cycles that are unhealthy, that keep us out of alignment. It can also trap us into certain behavioral patterns that will make us more or less function from our shadow self, and where we're kind of leaning too far into the shadow and forgetting who we truly are, right? Which is a being of unconditional love, and where we're needing to take a look, right? Yes, at the shadow, and learn how to then integrate and balance those energies. And so in a way, I feel like this is where your future self's message to you is basically pay attention. What are we seeing at this time? What are some ways in which your mind or your heart needs to be cleared? Because the Three of Swords is the pain, It's the suffering, right? And like I said, we can't change it, but we can choose not to suffer any longer. We can choose to reclaim our power. And that being something that helps you to bring that inner union, that inner alignment, okay? Learning how to master your energy. So I'm going to actually save this Lovers here. Knight of Wands is underneath that with the Hermit. So it feels like your future self is wanting you to take action at this time. And the Hermit is about journeying inwards. It's about healing. It's about self-reflection. It's about self-discovery. Who are you underneath that? Okay. Let's actually clarify the Devil here. The Magician. The Star. Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is pain. A lot of pain. Again, it could be from one, significant thing that you are still holding on to from your past. Or it could be from multiple things that you've experienced. The Star is here, which is about healing, clearing, cleansing, purification. And then you have the Magician here, which is about focused intention. So in a way, again, I do feel like your future self is wanting you to focus on healing. Okay. Now, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, well, I've already healed, then this is probably not your message today. Okay. This is for those of you that are still struggling with a lot of the mental, I guess I'll call them remnants, where a lot of the things that you have experienced are still weighing very heavily on your mind and could be impacting your ability to heal. It could even be things that make you feel out of alignment. Okay, a little bit of mental fog even. I also feel with Temperance being here, Temperance is about balance. It's about mind, body, spirit in harmony, in balance. It's also about healing. It's also about being patient, Those of you who may have recently even gone through something that was painful and difficult for you to deal with, it's also being patient with yourself, giving yourself grace, compassion at this time, empathy, love, nurturing, as you go through this healing process to restore alignment. Okay. The Emperor. Knight of Swords. And the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is healing. Knight of Swords. This might even be about focus. The Emperor is about stability, structure, foundation. This could be that your future self is wanting you to focus on stabilizing your energy. The fours are about stability, balance. I want to look at this High Priestess. I don't think this is for all of you, but some of you where you may have had a person, okay, in your life right now. I mean, it doesn't even need to be romantic in nature. It could be anyone. If you're finding yourself being reactive, I feel like this is a time for you to observe. Now, that's not to say that you can't respond in some way, but it's more or less a need for you to respond from a place of balance, because the Knight of Swords energy can be sometimes very confronting. It can be impulsive. Sometimes it could be us speaking before we think, or acting even before we think about something through. And I feel like if there's any actions that we want to take, or even anything that we wish to say at this time, especially if it's to another person, that your future self is, because this is also part of learning how to master your energy. Stable, clear, grounded, focused. So if you're dealing with a person and maybe that person is coming to you with some type of communication, is before you react or become reactive in a situation or choose to respond in a way that could be saying something or doing something that you might regret. Again, we want to have and come from a place of balance within, so that the ways in which we are communicating or the ways in which we are acting are not done so out of impulse, are not done so out of fear, are not doing so out of the impulsive nature within us that says, oh, I just have to say something, I have to do something right now. This is more about tempering your energy, calming it. Okay? So that might be the case for some of you, where like if you're dealing with someone and someone's saying something to you, confronting you with something, and instead of us kind of acting out, right, of maybe, because we got all this going on here, where we could get triggered, and that person or that situation could be trying to test us and throw us out of alignment. Again, we've got where your future self is trying to say, keep and stay aligned. So maybe this is observing, before we respond, before we react. What am I seeing here? What am I learning here? Three of Pentacles. King of Cups. King of Pentacles. Okay, I do notice one thing. there's a lot of masculine energy that's coming through here. Okay, we've got the Emperor, we've got the King of Swords, the King of Pentacles. Actually, look, all of them are here, right? No, that's the Knight. Yeah, that's the Knight. Okay, so we're missing the King of Swords. We've got the King of Cups, King of Pentacles, King of Wands, and the Emperor. And all four kings make up Emperor energy. You also have the Page and the Knight. So maybe this is where there's lessons or leveling up for you to do in terms of the mental, right? Because we've got mental energy being trapped in that devil energy. Page is when we are inexperienced. The Knight is kind of like the next level up from the Page energy, where we're still learning. There's still a lot for us to learn. And the King of Swords is about truth, clarity, power, authority. All the kings are leaders, but the King of Swords is also about higher consciousness. The king has mastered the sword energy. The swords are our thoughts, our ideas, the actions that we take, the decisions that we make, the way that we think, the way that we speak. Okay? So, if we haven't mastered that yet, right? Because we've got page and knight energy here, and that King of Swords is the only one that's missing. There's a focus here on your mind. Perhaps this is something that your future self is trying to show to you here. Because this is, in a way, these are mental, right? This is the trap. This is the bondage over the mind, which means we haven't mastered it yet. Your higher self or your future self is trying to give you tips on how to achieve the mastery of the sword, the mind, the thoughts, the intellect. Because here we're still trapped. Right? There's mastery that you're learning here. So what do we have to heal that we're still holding on to? Because the magician, has all 4 tools, right? Usually in a traditional tarot deck, we can see the magician with the table, and the magician has all 4 tools: cups, swords, pentacles, wands. So we're healing the mind here because the power is still being, in a way, taken away by either, like I said, a person who represents that devil for you, or it's your own mind, your own ego. And so your future, okay, so your high priestess over here, she's your intuition. 3 of Pentacles, in a way, this is working towards stabilizing something, rebuilding something. You've got the King of Cups, which is a representation of emotional mastery. And then we also have the King of Pentacles here, which the King of Pentacles is the master of the material realm, the physical world. So in a way, I kind of feel like your future self is saying to you here, you're almost there. You're getting there. But this is a time for you to pay attention to the lesson here about how, because the magician needs all the tools. All the tools. Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is at the bottom, which is about truth. It's about clarity. It's about having an epiphany, a realization, a breakthrough, with the Chariot right underneath that. The Chariot is what's helping you to move forward. Advancing on your path. I like their little chariot here. That's really cute. So, why is this 2 of Wands here? The 6 of Wands. The 6 of Cups. There's the Empress, which is your feminine and your masculine. Now, the Six of Cups does have to do with memories, nostalgia. Usually it's things about the past, right? Things that we're holding on to. The Six of Wands could be something that is being brought to your attention. The Empress being here is about nurturing. Healing. The Six of Cups can also be about healing. Let's look at this Ace of Swords. The Moon. Four of Wands. There's the Tower. I almost feel like this is releasing not only the past, you know, but this also feels like the old version of you. Because the moon energy, yes, it correlates to our intuition, but the moon is the subconscious mind. It is where a lot of the memories are stored, a lot of the old feelings, emotions, thoughts, the things that kind of run in the background that affect the way that we feel, that affect the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we act, the choices that we make. And so the moon can bring in a lot of illusion, confusion for us, doubt, uncertainty, fears, insecurities. And that's all more or less kind of like within that devil energy. And the Tower is about us having an awakening. It could be about the breakdown, okay, of something, the release of something. The Ace of Swords is about having the breakthrough, having the clarity, breaking through the illusion, breaking through the old stuff, right, that we've got, holding on to feelings, emotions, thoughts that are tied into whatever this past situation is and how it is holding you back from your ascension, from moving forward, from self-mastery. This is you reclaiming power of the mind for some of you. I feel like a lot of you, it's the mind. Because that's the only king that's missing here. The King of Swords. Because the release of this is what is going to bring you into stability, harmony. The balance between your feminine and masculine energies. Our first, step to kind of changing that is the self-awareness. Is being more mindful and paying attention to what our mental state is every day. Maybe this is journaling, like what are we thinking about today? Where are our thoughts at today? What kind of thoughts are popping up into our head? What kind of emotions are coming along with it? Does it require nurturing, self-love at this time? More attention to healing in that particular situation that's coming up for you? Okay. So, in a way, your future self has probably, right, already been there, already mastered this. And this might be a big struggle, right? In a way that this is why your future self is kind of coming through here today to say, hey, this is where you're at. You're almost there, but this is what's kind of holding us up. This is what's holding you up presently, this present version of you watching this reading right now. This is what's needed to change so that you can align to that future version of yourself that has already, right? That future self, that version of you already exists, has already mastered it. This is your path of getting there, to aligning with that version of you. So let's ask Spirit here to close out this reading. What is your advice at this time? What is your advice at this time? What is the advice from your future self? We've got boundary here. To cover this up a little bit. We've got a boundary. And it kind of feels like with this boundary, or you're protecting your energy, because of course, right, there's going to be certain things that kind of come up for you, that cross your mind. It's part of our past, right? And it's not to say that you have to just kind of like, you know, for those of you that have things you need to process and work through, I'm not saying to suppress them or to not do the work, but we can also set those energetic boundaries and be better protective of our own energy, so that we're not letting ourselves, being aware when we kind of put ourselves into that place of ruminating and ruminating and ruminating on something. We have disillusion. And we have explore. And I'm seeing silence at the bottom. This kind of looks very protective too, like this person just kind of sitting inside of this. You know, that might be for some of you with the silence here, meditating, grounding yourself. Could even be an invitation to keeping your mind distracted, even with doing things that you love, pursuing your passions, so that you're not kind of, I want to say, just kind of stuck in your head with all that time of thinking, where you can kind of use that energy in a different way, refocus that energy elsewhere. What is this disillusion here? It's like it's being shattered. Judgment. Judgment is awakening. It is a wake-up call. It could be a call for us to release. Queen of Pentacles. She looks angry. And then we have the Three of Cups. You know, this could also be a time for spending time with others, talking to others, making new friends, people that support you, okay? Of course, people that support you, people that can offer loving advice. To even help us to kind of see things from a different perspective. Judgment could also be taking time to look at your past with intention. Specifically, what you might still be holding on to right now. Is it anger? Is it resentment? Is it grief? And then also to sit with the pain. What is it teaching you? What has it taught you? What are some things that we can do differently moving forward? Judgment is about releasing all of the burden, all the heaviness that we're holding on to from whatever experiences we may have gone through. But we take with us moving forward the lessons that we can then integrate on our path moving forward. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, group number 1. I do hope this reading was helpful for you all, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, group 2. So those of you that resonated with card number 8, Bath Coal, and the Pyrite, this is going to be a reading today. So I am using the White Light Oracle for our reading today by Alana Fairchild. And for those of you that are maybe not so familiar, she makes a lot of really beautiful decks and puts a lot of work into the meanings behind the cards. So I do feel like, you know, just to kind of set the tone for what the message is from your future self, we are going to be reading from the guidebook to get kind of like the message. And then we'll, of course, pull the tarot. Some of you that are not into, you know, listening to me read, just remember you don't have to be here. Okay. So if you don't want to, you can go. You can go. Let's see. Number 8. Okay, so it says, eschew complicated explanations as you seek the simplicity of the deepest truth of your heart. Gently but firmly cast aside that which does not resonate as being true for your heart. Focus upon and speak from a higher spiritual perspective. All prayers are answered at the perfect time and in perfect way. You have a powerful voice which can foster healing and wisdom on our planet. It says Bath Coal is a mysterious creature. She is an angel known as the Divine Oracle, the daughter of the divine voice, the pure and true sound of spirit. When she whispers to your heart, you feel it as an inner knowing, a truth. To honor that inner knowing likely requires the confrontation of fear or moving in unexpected directions. Even so, the deep resonance of her truth is more powerful than the resistance we may initially feel as we let go of our limited perspectives and allow ourselves to be guided by spirit. The spiritual voice of Bath Coal is always true, always healing, and always in harmony with the higher loving plan of the universal heart, which is working toward the spiritual fulfillment of all hearts. Hers is the healing sound, the voice of divine prophecy, which not only tells what shall be, but speaking of the highest potential, creates a blessing which manifests the ultimate goodness within us. When Bath Coal appears in a reading, an inner spiritual call may require a leap of faith. A more authentic, awakened you is coming to life. Paving the way for the higher self to manifest typically means that fear and control-based approaches need to be surrendered. Bath Coal's presence indicates something more appropriate and vital needs to supersede the limiting structures currently in place. As a consequence, she is a portent of spiritual transformation and material manifestation. Honoring her guidance requires courage, but brings rich reward on many levels. Okay, I'm not going to read all of it. For those of you that want to keep on reading, I'm going to let you screenshot if you want to, so you can come back to it later. And this is the other part of that on this side. Okay. All right, so let's see. Group number 2. What is the message that your future self has for you? We've got the 2 of Swords. The Ace of Pentacles. We have the 8 of Pentacles. The Magician. We have the Moon. Six of Pentacles. The Emperor. Okay, so what I'm already getting here, and kind of going back to what this was saying about stepping outside of your comfort zone in a way, this feels like there's a decision here, Queen of Pentacles, that has to do where your future self is kind of trying to help you to get to a place where this might involve your job, your career, financial security, and stability. Okay. And perhaps some of you are feeling indecisive about whether or not you should change jobs, change career paths, take the risk of moving into a different field or something surrounding this new beginning that's here. We do have the Tower present, and the Tower, you know, can certainly create upheaval in our life. You know, some of you may have already put a lot of effort, a lot of energy. We've got the King of Cups here into building something. You know, sometimes we work towards a certain career or a certain job that we've been at for a long time, or a certain industry that we've been in for a long time. And the whole idea of changing, even though it could be something that our heart really desires, because we have the King of Cups as the overall energy here. King of Cups is about your feelings, your emotions, your intuition, your heart. And we started off with the Two of Swords here, which is about feeling confused. It's indecision. It could also be when we're in two minds about something. And the Ace of Pentacles is that opportunity for a new beginning, a new start. Eight of Pentacles, this could be school. It could be work. It could be wanting to improve your finances. The Six of Pentacles is also here, which is about receiving. And this could be putting you in a situation to receive more, just something where the energy that you're putting out is what you're seeing being given back to you. The Magician is about willpower, focused intention, manifestation. But we've got the Moon there. And the Moon is confusion, uncertainty, doubt. It has a lot to do with our intuition. But the Moon is when we are in the dark, when we can't see the way forward. And we're relying upon, or needing to rely upon, the intuition in what it is guiding you to do. But because we fear the unknown, we fear change, What if I make the wrong choice? What if I make the wrong decision? Where is this path going to lead me? And am I going to be successful? Will I be abundant? Will I be able to reach my financial goals? Is this job going to make me happy? Where is this path going to lead? And because we can't see, right, we're still in the dark, those fears can become so great that it stops us from being able to trust what our intuition has been trying to tell us all along. The Emperor is here, which is about looking at the bigger picture of things. It is about taking action, getting things done. It's about discipline, organization, power, strategy, foundation, stability. Some of you may already be, in this Queen of Pentacles energy, which the Queen of Pentacles is established. Okay, so some of you are established. You're in an established career. You've worked hard to get to where you are. And others of you, it could be wanting to get yourself into that more established energy when it comes to your career and finances. Okay, so all of you, of course, are going to be on different timelines when it does come to that situation. The Tower is, for some of you, if you're wanting to change, right, with something that you've already built, the Tower would be the breakdown of that old foundation, which means we'd be rebuilding. We'd be starting from scratch, right, for some of you. And of course, that can be scary too. The Page of Swords energy is about studying, learning. Perhaps some of you even want to go back to school. You want to learn a new skill set, take a class, take a workshop, do some certifications, get a degree, and it could be that you feel unsure and you're waiting for more confirmation. Another sign, another sign from the universe that this is the right choice, but the feeling in your intuition was your sign. That's where we need to trust. Look at how the magicians, all of them kind of have like a little bit of an odd look on their face, but the magician is powerful. It's powerful, potent energy. And that magician doesn't look too confident. That magician looks worried. Right? Her hat is like bent. On the tip of her hat is bent. So yeah, the Page of Swords is when we're kind of like studying, researching. And maybe this is something for you to do as well, where your future self is saying, hey, if you're contemplating and you're having the feeling of wanting some kind of change here, maybe we need to do some research. Maybe we need to look things up, maybe to help us to get like a little bit more information with the ideas that we have, the plans that we have. Okay, so I want to look at this Two of Swords. The Star. For some of you, we've got the Lovers, which is about the choice of the heart, decision. The Star is leading you towards your destiny, towards your wish fulfillment, towards your dream. Ace of Swords, truth, clarity. There's a need for trusting. The Star is about trust, belief, faith, hope. Clarify the Moon. Four of Swords. Ace of Wands. And there's the Empress. So the Empress and the Emperor here. The Empress is the feminine energy. We've got the intuition with the moon. The Four of Swords is about stillness, quieting the mind. The Ace of Wands is divine inspiration. The Magician, the Empress is about birthing something, creating something. It's also about you believing in your power to create, to manifest. The Empress also has to do with abundance. You know, and I feel like for part of this too, it's like believing in yourself. Trusting your heart. So some of you it could be that your destined career path is calling to you. Or, you know, like I said, maybe for some of you, you could have a career or a job right now that, you know, makes good money, pays the bills, but you feel unfulfilled. And your heart desires something else. In a way, I feel like it's trusting that you will also be provided for if you truly feel that it is your calling. Why is this Tower here? Nine of Swords, Ten of Wands. Is that 10? Yes. 10 of Wands, Nine of Swords. I feel like your future self is saying to you here that the overthinking, the overanalyzing is creating so much stress for you that you've got to work towards releasing that and following your heart. Let your heart be your guide, which does require trust. Strength. Yeah. You know, this could be a time that your future self is kind of saying to you here, it's time to overcome these fears that limit you, that hold you back. The strength is about courage, bravery, inner strength. To put yourself in a position to receive more for some of you. Or opening yourself up to other opportunities. I mean, some of you, it might even be creating another stream of income. You know, a project that you want to start, a new business. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, I definitely feel like this message today has to do with your career and finances. Okay? To strive for better, to strive for more, to let go of any of the... Try to let go of and reduce the frustrations, you know, because some of you could be working towards certain things already too, and might feel like you want to give up because you're not quite seeing the fruits of your labor yet. So for some of you, this might be about the strength to keep going, but to make sure that as you're nurturing your career, that there is going to be that steady advancement. If you're in a situation right now where it's gotten stagnant, or you're feeling like you've reached your capacity of what you're able to earn at that employer, you know, or with your business. Maybe this means introducing a new idea, or, you know, maybe for some of you, preparing to change, being open to change, to growth, to expansion. I really feel like the message here is about your future self wanting you to believe in yourself and what you were actually capable of being able to achieve for yourself. You're stronger than you think you are. Yeah, some of you are comfortable, comfortable with where you're at. And there's this energy surrounding you of this movement. Like it's like your future self is saying, move. It's time to move. Some of you have gotten too comfortable. Because the Four of Pentacles, it is about, you know, stability and security, but it could also be that we feel too insecure about leaving the comfort zone in order to have more. So we end up settling and say, okay, I'm good right here. I make money. I'm stable. And we're too afraid of the challenge of making the decisions that we need to in order to have more. And your future self is saying you can have more. You're capable of more. For some of you, this might even go into scarcity mindset. This could be about you stepping into your highest potential, your highest timeline. Okay, so what is the advice right now from your future self? Move. I feel like it's move. Be strong and move. We've got a blockage here. Breathe. Breathe. And soften. Okay, let's see what this blockage is here. Two of Pentacles. This could be indecision, making a choice, making change. Some of you could also be dealing with blockages within your finances. The Ten of Swords. There's the Page of Pentacles, which is the new start. There's the Fool at the bottom. Now imagine that this character in this card is you, and your future self is saying to you, you ready to go? You've got that wide-eyed blank stare with your arms crossed like, I'm not going anywhere. What do you mean? Take a leap of faith. Are you crazy? Right? Take a leap of faith. You want me to do what? So I feel like in a way with this breathe here, you know, it's kind of like calming the nervous system, calming and grounding and softening into the feeling that you're having intuitively, connecting with that. Trying to settle the mind, right, and its fears, and telling you, you can't do this, you won't be successful, you can't have this, you'll fail, you'll this, you'll that. That blocks you from being able to, for some of you, plant that seed for something new, start that new project, take a risk, step outside of your comfort zone. Okay. I feel like it's also a need to kind of have a little bit of that awareness too, when we can recognize how we hold ourselves back, why we procrastinate, why we hesitate, where is it coming from? What are we afraid of? Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, group number 2. I do hope this reading was helpful for you all, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, group 3. So those of you that resonated with card number 21, Seraph of 963 Hertz, this is going to be a reading today. So I am using one of Alana Fairchild's decks, the White Light Oracle, which is really beautiful for those of you that are not familiar. Alana Fairchild creates a lot of really beautiful decks and puts a lot of depth into the meanings within the cards. And so I am going to start off with reading from the guidebook with the message that she does have with this card. For those of you that are not really into reading from the guidebook, you don't have to stay. Okay, you can go if that is not your cup of tea. So let's see. 21. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of it, but I will hold up the book for those of you that are interested in reading more about what the message is. So we're asking Spirit today a message from your future self. Your future self has a message for you and trying to find out what that message is. And so the card that you chose, Seraph of 963 Hertz, says, practice connecting to the joy that is always deep within you. Pay attention to what brings you exquisite delight. If you don't know what that is, you are guided to experiment and explore. Connecting to the joyful capacity of your heart will heal so much negativity and uncertainty. Let your heart relax. Allow the spiritual grace that wishes to reorder your life to manifest its miraculous magic. The seraphim are angelic beings of an extremely high vibration. They are angelic mystics in constant devotion and adoration of the divine. When we passionately fall in love with the divine face of luminous grace, whether it be a person who has entered our lives as if they have dropped straight from heaven onto earth, or we feel our heart awakening to new depths of love in meditation with our spirit guides, we are in harmony with the seraphim. When we go through a struggle and are somehow fortunate enough to recognize the protective and healing action of divine grace intervening on our behalf, we can shift to such gratitude we just want to kiss the sky and sing a love song to the universe. Then we are in touch with our own inner seraph. Some egos project their narcissistic wounding and lack of romantic imagination onto spirit, concluding that the divine must rather vain if it wants swarms of angels flying about constantly singing its praises. They don't understand that the divine asks for our love so it can give itself to us. When we feel love, when we are in love, our hearts are open and receptive. The divine isn't interested in praise for its own sake, but for what we can receive when our hearts are opened by it. When you have a beautiful experience, fall in love, enjoy the best meal of your life, see a film that awakens your mind, do you not want to tell others about it? Our world can seem a bleak and spiritually barren place. We need jubilant mystical hearts who know the secret of esoteric ecstasy and are divinely drunk in their celestial communion. We need to see them happily stumbling about as love-struck fools, startling our intellects with their brilliant ramblings, opening our hearts with their purposeful passions. We too need such loving delight with the divine, so we cannot help but want to call forth in wondrous gratitude and declare our love from the rooftops for all to hear and feel. This oracle brings a message straight from the divine to you. Let me love you. Okay. It says the tone of 963 hertz unlocks the radiant luminosity of your light body. This body of light is the inner essence of your physical structure and yet is not constrained by it. Your light body is your internal interface between the spiritual plane and the physical plane. It is where healing, bliss, and inspiration flow unimpeded. The higher world transmits consciousness raising light codes directly into your body of light, affirming your original soul note and preventing the ego from obscuring your spiritual light so that you can manifest your most authentic life path. Okay? So there's a ton more, but I'm just going to hold that up. Okay, for those of you that want to screenshot it and read. And then let's see what else is there. And then this side is the rest of it. Okay. All right, so let's get into pulling the tarot. So very high frequency of divine love. Group number 3. What is the message that your future self has for you? We have death. The 4 of Cups. Okay. The King of Wands. Page of Pentacles. The Star. Okay, I kind of already feel that those of you that are going to be resonating with this group, the reason why your future self is kind of bringing up this energy of the divine's love is because some of you may have in your recent past, or it could even be something that you're experiencing right now. The 4 of Cups is here, which is a feeling of sometimes emotional neglect, rejection. We could be feeling that our emotional needs are not being met, whether that is in a romantic partnership or perhaps even the way that a family member might make us feel. And the Death card being present is about transformation. And so in a way, I feel like your future self is wanting you to kind of move away from this feeling of perhaps emotional abandonment, neglect, rejection, into connecting with and feeling the divine's love. This again, the seraphim being a very high frequency, high vibrational energy. And so this could be where you work on reclaiming your power, let's just say, from a situation that has made you feel this way. Maybe it makes you feel unloved, unwanted. And so we're not really, when we're feeling that, right, in a way, if there's something that's going on outside of us that has made us feel that way, this could be where there's a little bit of that disconnect. Not to say that what has happened isn't painful, okay? Of course it is. It could be painful when a person pushes us away or neglects something, right? And that is external to us. But I feel like this is where your future self is trying to get you back to you connecting to that source of love from within. Okay? Connecting to the source of love within the self. Because oftentimes we see love as something that is external to us. So if we are single, right, or we are having, or even if we're married sometimes, or in a long-term relationship and our emotional needs are not being met, we're looking for validation of being lovable and being worthy, external validation. And your future self looks like it's trying to help you to kind of move away from that way of thinking of emptiness. Here, as I'm kind of looking at these little Four of Cups pictures, you know, this one's like looking inside its cup. This one, I don't know. She doesn't look like she knows what she's doing with her cup. What is the message from your future self, group number 3? We have the Fool. This can also be when we are emotionally blocked. Okay? We're closed off. We've shut down. And sometimes, you know, we might do that as a way to protect ourselves from getting hurt, from shutting ourselves off emotionally. I also notice in this Fool card here too, she's got her arms folded across her chest. We have the Ace of Wands. Three of Cups. The Emperor. Knight of Swords. The Moon. Three of Swords. I don't think this is all of you, but Spirit is telling me that someone that's watching this reading may have even kind of turned away from the divine, turned away from Spirit. And that might be a result of perhaps going through things that may have been a little bit difficult for you. I have definitely been there in that headspace many years ago where I kind of questioned whether or not there was even a God or a source, higher power, however you want to look at that, because of the amount of trauma that I had gone through that put me in such a place where I rejected all ideas, beliefs that there was a God that existed. Because how could that be that I was going through so much trauma that why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why wasn't I loved? Why wasn't I protected? Why wasn't, I had like so many questions back then. Like, why was all of that stuff happening to me? You know? And so in a way, I was not in a space where I was open to the divine at all. At all. For the good majority of my life. I wasn't open until I had my spiritual awakening, which was in 2019, which wasn't very long ago, where I was just shut off. So some of you, you know, could certainly have that experience where there's certain things that you go through and you're just like, there's no faith. You've lost faith. You've lost hope. You've lost believing or trusting in, you know, something, forces greater than ourselves, where we just completely shut down, you know? I am seeing the Three of Swords here, okay? The Three of Swords is about pain. It's about heartbreak, going through, you know, maybe even, like I said, rejection earlier, and feeling hurt. And the Moon, you know, can certainly bring in a lot of confusion. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening? You know, some of you, this could be situations that you're going through with romantic partners. Some of you, it could be friends that are making you feel like you don't fit in or have made you feel this way in the past. And, you know, some of you might be in a place where you feel very defensive because of the experiences that you've had in the past. where you feel like you want to defend and protect yourself. And I want to look at, let's see. I feel like I want to look at this Four of Cups here. Okay, the Swords. Seven of Cups. Judgment. Yeah. I feel like some of you are experiencing this energy of rejection presently, okay? Even if it's a situation that happened in the past, there could be things that you're still trying to understand about why things happen the way they happened, or why this person may have done something to you. I feel like it's making you feel, for some of you, feeling really confused, where you still want answers. You still want answers. It's something that you haven't been able to let go of. It kind of feels like something that's kind of like lingering in the background of your mind. What is this star here? King of Cups. Eight of Pentacles. Ten of Wands. Some of you may have gone through something really painful that kind of closed off your heart space a little bit, okay? And I feel like part of what your future self is wanting you to focus on, okay, at this time, is bringing yourself back to a state of this King of Cups. And in order for us to get there, those of you that are resonating with this, in order for us to get ourselves back into that state of King of Cups, which does represent unconditional love, openness and receptivity, trusting, opening up your heart again. There is some, I guess we'll call it energetic baggage that you have to release, that's kind of weighing on you. And the Eight of Pentacles is about committing yourself to bringing yourself back into that very state of being, which is an alignment with the love, with the divine, your true nature, right? Because there could have been certain things that have happened in your life that have taken that away from you. Taken it away from you. And this could be one person in particular. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a romantic partner. Or it could be multiple situations that you have gone through over the course of your lifetime that have weighed very heavily on you. Okay. Let's see. A Tower. Two of Wands. Yeah. Six of Swords and the Nine of Swords. Yeah. So some of you, there could be some fears here that you have through this whole healing process of healing, letting go, moving on. The Tower is about release. releasing. Okay, so like I said, it kind of looks like there are some things here that you're holding on to from the past that your future self is trying to bring your awareness to. Okay, sometimes we know exactly what it is, and sometimes it requires us to do a little bit of reflection to say, okay, what are these energies that I'm holding on to from the past? And that might be revisiting certain situations. And when we think about them, what kind of feelings are coming up within us about it? Is it putting a bad taste in our mouth? Are we dealing with grief? Are we dealing with resentment, anger? What is lingering there? Okay. The Nine of Swords can be about a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, you know, even where we might have difficulty letting certain things go. Moving on from certain things, moving on from certain people, certain situations. So I do feel like your future self is trying to bring your attention at this time. And more or less, I feel like it's choosing love and moving forward with love in your heart and the willingness to let go of those people, of those situations. And perhaps for some of you, it's people that didn't reciprocate the love that you gave, that didn't return that love. And so for some of you, you know, I'm not going to say that's all of you because everybody has different values and belief systems surrounding this, but for some people, it is forgiveness. I understand that, of course, there are some things that certain people do that are unforgivable. I get it. Because I too have those situations of people who have done certain things that are unforgivable. Okay, so I understand. This is where you do this for you. You do what is necessary for you, whether that is forgiving the person or not. Or sometimes it's forgiving ourselves. But it is the act of letting go, the act of releasing the energy that we're still holding on to, that are tied into those past situations, because your future self is trying to bring you back into that state of love, to feel love within yourself, within your vessel, where we're not so much looking to another person or outside of ourselves for that energy of love. Okay, those of you that are resonating with this, I would encourage you to read a little bit wherever you can find some information. They might even, I don't know, they might have some videos on YouTube about the seraphim. Okay, perhaps those of you that are on a spiritual path, this could be focusing on working with the seraphim and invoking them into a spiritual practice where you can connect with their energy daily to help to bring you into that higher state of being that your future self is trying to get you to. And that might even be, for those of you that are open to it or single, to help you bring you back into that state of love, where this can certainly change your energy and change your vibration to becoming a magnet for the love that you desire and to bring that into your life. Okay? Or even people who resonate and vibrate in that higher frequency of energy, where you have friends that are of that higher vibrational energy. And openness to receiving those types of connections into your life. Okay, whether it's romantic, whether it is, you know, friends that you have come in. It's like getting yourself attuned to this higher frequency of energy, which can completely change your life. Okay. Okay, so let's see what your advice is here. The advice that your future self has for you at this time. What is the advice from your future self? We have soften. Nurture, And this can certainly be about you nurturing yourself, softening your energy to that of love. Okay? Because sometimes, right, there's certain experiences that we have in our life that can make us feel very defensive, very rigid, very closed off, very detached. Yeah, we got rage here. So we're looking at a volcano. You know, if some of you are still maybe angry with someone, upset, or carrying a lot of very intense, I'm seeing the test here, a lot of very intense to transform it, okay? Soul is also at the bottom here. So we've got softening, nurturing. Maybe there are, for some of you, certain things that are testing you at this time to transform this, to transmute this. Your soul. You know, that we're looking at a volcano that's erupting here, which is release. Releasing any of these energies within your body, right? That need to be purged, that need to be cleared, so that you can allow this energy of the divine's love in. So for some of you, like I said, this is going to be where your future self is kind of telling you, asking you, right, to kind of look at the things that you could be holding on to that you need to transform. No longer holding on to these lower energies that don't align with love. And that's not to say that you can't ever experience an emotion or a thought or a feeling, you know, that isn't in that vibration of love or joy or happiness, those higher frequency energies. You're human. You're going to have those days where people test you, where you feel upset, things that throw you out of alignment. Okay? King of Cups is also mastery of your emotions, right? It's normal for us to feel angry and upset and full of rage or anything else that we might be feeling because of a past situation. But we don't want to hold on to that energy, right? Because it creates a block with us being able to connect with Source, with the divine, with love. What is this test here? Temperance. Can you transmute it? Can you ground yourself? Can you stabilize your energy? The King of Pentacles is a mastery of the material realm, the physical world. Temperance is our ability to heal, our ability to transmute. Right? Because again, when we're experiencing the material world, there's going to be a lot of things, right, that we go through. The Nine of Cups being here is about contentment, satisfaction, where if we can, you know, learn how to ground our energy and how to focus on things that bring us joy, things that bring us happiness. We can, in a way, like Spirit is saying here, soften the energy. We can take whatever feelings that we have, if they're ones that are negative, particularly negative, right? We can transmute them. You know, sometimes that can be birthed through creativity. We can write music. We can write poetry. We can paint. We can dance. We can do so many things. We could write a story, write a book, become an author, create a podcast. Okay. All right, so that is all that I have for you, group number 3. I do hope this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one.